I've been using the 14-inch MacBook Pro as my main computer from the past year, and there's something wrong. Yes, and you'll find out in this video. This is the base model and it comes with 16 GB of RAM paired with 512 GB of internal storage. In 2021, the Macs were redesigned and it now features the boxy look just like the iPad and the iPhone. It also feels that way. In my own opinion, I do prefer this boxy look to the previous design on the older MacBook Pros and MacBook Air. The new design has its advantages such as a better cooling solution and the introduction of more ports. With the introduction of more ports, it's going to reduce the number of dongles we have to carry around. In addition to the Thunderbolt 4 USB-C which we've had on the previous model, we also have a full-size HDMI 2.0 port, we have a full-size SD card slot, and we have MagSafe 3. We also have a headphone jack and the vent by the side. Opening the lid of the MacBook, we are welcomed with a beautiful liquid retina XDR display which is mini LED. This is a good display for media consumption and it gets very bright up to 1600 nits when viewing HDR content. It also supports ProMotion and you definitely feel the difference from a 60Hz panel and a 120Hz panel on the MacBook.
Optimize and fix all the issues.
Sometimes I use the MacBook
Have been addressed
for watching
with the
YouTube
Pixel
videos,
7
watching
and 7 Pro.
movies,
In
and
fact, I'm going to go on
enjoying
record
other
and say
content
that
on it. And this display is very pleasing. You have different resolutions and presets to pick from, and this is going to come in handy when using an external monitor. Personally, I love the 14-inch form factor because it's not small and at the same time it's not too big. It's in between large and small. The 14-inch MacBook Pro has a 6-speaker array and you should listen to it yourself. It's loud with good bass. Personally, from different laptops I've used in the past years, I've not found anyone that's better than the Mac yet.
I'm singing, take me to the world of silver, no more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers, take me somewhere unfamiliar, bring me back to where we started. Get me out of now, to where we started.
When it comes to the typing experience, this is one of the best, if not the best keyboard I've used on a laptop. It has nice key travel, though it gets stained over time with fingerprint oil, and it's not easy to get rid of. The trackpad is excellent as usual. It's big and allows for good movement of your fingers. Just to mention, I also like the contrast of the keyboard area to the silver or space gray body of the Mac. It's also backlit and the brightness can be controlled. Coming to the software, I'm currently running macOS Ventura 13.2.1. You pretty much get all the macOS features, and one which I use a lot is the Stage Manager, and I also use my iPad as a second display when I have a lot of programs to work on. For example, I can have YouTube open on the iPad while I'm typing a document or browsing the web on the Mac. In as much as I like the 14-inch MacBook Pro, sometimes the display is too small and I need more room to display more programs, so I use my iPad as a second display and I push the other software to the iPad while working on the Mac. For instance, I can have YouTube playing on the iPad while I'm typing the documents on the Mac. Battery life on the Mac is excellent, even though I noticed that when this Mac is new, I get a better battery life, but after usage over a period of time, the battery isn't as good as it was new, even though it's not bad. I get about 4 hours of battery life when editing videos and I'm not plugged in. And just a quick note, I'm still at 100% battery health. If you're a light user, you definitely get more hours on battery compared to someone who's using demanding applications such as Blender, DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro. For thermals and heat dissipation, it gets warm a bit considering the fact I'm close to the equator, but I hardly hear the fans when working. So basically, it's quiet and doesn't get hot. So should you get the M1 Pro or the M1 Max? That depends on the type of work you do. Well, for me, I code with Android Studio and Xcode while having Chrome and other applications running in the background. I also use Blender to create renders and it's pretty fast without any lag. Lastly, I use DaVinci Resolve for video editing and I've never experienced any lag or slowdown when working on my timeline. But if you feel you need more power, then you can consider the M1 Max CPU. Another thing worth mentioning is that if you're a professional or a creator, you should get one with a higher storage, maybe a 1 TB or 2 TB, because the 512 gig is definitely going to fill up faster. What if you don't need much power and you'd like to save cost? Then I'll recommend the M2 MacBook Air, which also got a new design just like the M1 and M2 Pro models of the MacBook. The MacBook Air is thinner and lighter than the MacBook Pro, and you should keep in mind you won't be able to get sustained performance here because there's no fan, so you don't have active cooling. Another thing worth mentioning is that if you are going with the MacBook Air, you'll be starting at 256 GB of internal storage, which I feel is low and small. So you might want to consider going for the 512 gig variant. What about you have the M1 Pro or M1 Max MacBook Pro? Should you upgrade to the M2 Pro or M2 Max? To make this short and simple, the M2 Pro and M2 Max has gotten better, but not by much compared to the M1 Pro or M1 Max MacBook Pro. A good reason to get the M2 Pro or M2 Max MacBook is moving from an Intel-based MacBook Pro or the regular M1 MacBook Pro, or you need the extra cores for better performance. Otherwise, I recommend you save money and get the M1 Pro or M1 Max MacBook Pro, which you can even increase the storage while saving money. Even though the M2 Pros are more powerful than the M1, the gap isn't wide enough. So do consider saving more money and getting the M1 Pro or Max while upgrading the specs. Thanks for watching and do consider subscribing and give this video a like. Also leave a comment on your opinion in the comment section below. Bye and see you in the next one.